So how's everybody doing? Good. I'm really excited to be here. So ever since I was a kid, the band U2 was my favorite thing in the world. I learned about life, love, and politics through their music. I remember when I was a little kid, I would hide out in my room and for hours put on headphones and just get lost in their music and get transported to another world. And even to this day, when I hear the band play, it brings me right back to when I was a kid. And it reminds me of the importance of hope and idealism, but it also reminds me of the critical importance of never losing that childlike curiosity that gives you the permission to dream. Today we're talking about instigation. And for me, instigation is about breaking something apart, not only so you can create something new, but so that you can know what was done before. And this brings me back to U2. You see, I grew up in the 1980s in Ventura, California, a little city in between Santa Barbara and LA. It was a predominantly white suburb at the time, and I was one of the few people of color that lived there. As someone that only spoke Spanish until a few years before this picture was taken, I couldn't understand why I couldn't fit in. You see, I was teased at an early age because I spoke a different language, and I just looked just a little bit different than everybody else. And it was that eventually led me back to U2. Because although they were on the radio, they were more punk rock like the Ramones. Although they were on the radio, they were more political like Public Enemy. And for me, they reminded me that it was okay to be different. See, instigators oftentimes are misunderstood, outcasted, or often ridiculed. And as you can see from this picture, U2 was different and allowed me to see my reflection. But more importantly, they were proud to be Irish. And that kind of pushed me to figure out, well, then who am I? Where did I come from? And in my own quest to find that out, it led me to these two individuals, Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez, two civil rights icons that happened to be Mexican just like me. In the 1960s and 70s, they went door to door in California talking about the unfair working conditions of farm workers, as well as the pesticides that were polluting all of the food chain and making everyone in California sick. It was this house party strategy that eventually became the foundation for an international movement for social change that changed laws not only in California but across the country. And it all started with a simple conversation in someone's home with complete strangers. So 3 years ago, I created Living Rooms Across America, a nationwide tour and series of curated events that essentially just infused music into the farm workers' strategy of going door to door. Through Living Rooms Across America, I've been able to travel the country and perform and facilitate conversations around difficult issues in the homes of complete strangers. What we do is we basically bring 25 individuals together, business leaders, cultural figures, elected officials, and community residents most impacted by the issue of gun violence and other issues plaguing us. And what I found through this is that when you bring together 25 strangers, a magical experience happens. You see, the whole format is I work with some of the leading nonprofits. So whether that's Life Camp in New York, or the Young People's Project in Jackson, Mississippi, or communities and schools in Los Angeles, and we find hosts, people willing to open up their living room for a conversation. And the basic format is I set the context, I play a song, and I'm still, despite what's happening in the world, a hopeless romantic, so I write love songs. So I basically write something and hopefully people's hearts open, and then immediately someone shares their personal story of taking a tragedy and turning it into something positive. And what happens almost every time is you see the humanity of the issue, and you actually formed a genuine community. Today, in a time when community is built through Facebook likes or how many followers you have on Twitter, we forgot the most basic elemental thing is just building a community amongst ourselves. In the last 3 years, I've been able to facilitate conversations and perform alongside some of the greatest thought leaders of our time, from Deepak Chopra to our very own mayor here in Chicago, Mayor Rahm Emanuel, to United States Congressman Tony Karnas, to John Baptiste, who just performed yesterday here at Chicago Ideas Week. We've done amazing things. In 3 years, we brought together thousands of people that never met. We've also informed local, state, and national policy because we intentionally have a policymaker in the room so they could see the issue in a different light than they did before. And lastly, we've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for those organizations rooted in the community. One of my favorite artists is Paul Robeson, and he once said that through art, he was able to find a vehicle to change people's hearts. And at the end of the day, that's all I'm really trying to do, is trying to change people's hearts so they can see themselves and then the world in a different light. You see, the most basic thing and the most hardest thing is to really accept and love who you are. The instigators that have changed the world were often seen as outcasts because their idea was too far out until it became the norm. But they've also known that they can never do anything just alone. So for me, I want to basically try to recreate a living room conversation here. Usually there's 20 to 25 people rather than 1,000 plus. But what I want to really leave you with is 3 things. Paulo Coelho, who's my favorite author, said that a child can teach you 3 things: to be happy for no reason, to always be curious, and to fight tirelessly for what you believe in. I believe that we're all brought here with a unique gift and talent, and the process of life is to figure out what that is. For me, it was through music. For me, it was U2 that allowed me to be okay with publicly saying, I'm an organizer that happens to be an artist that genuinely believes that I can change the world, one living room, one person at a time. So I'm gonna play one song, it's called Just Be You. And it's what I usually close every living room performance with. And I oftentimes dedicate this to my son and daughter. It says, Maela and Mio, the love of my lives. Because I realized that in terms of music one day, I was at home practicing, and my daughter all of a sudden started singing the same lyrics to the song. And in a culture where we don't have enough positivity, I was like, what can I do to create a song, lyrically, emotionally, that will allow her to feel okay as being a young Chicana in this world? So this song is called Just Be You. I hope you enjoy it. I ask you to just really open up your heart and believe that anything you want to do is indeed possible, because those that have tried the impossible and made it possible allowed us to be here today. You guys still with me? All right. Oh, I see your beauty, but you're not too sure. You don't know your worth. Don't know that you're a star, but I see you. I see who you are, but there's no one. There's no one like you. So don't be like everyone, just be you. Just be you. You've got the whole world all up in your arms. If you only knew that you're a star, but there's no one like you. So don't be like everyone, just be you. Just be you. It'll all work out if you believe in you. It'll all work out. Oh, but there's no one like you. So don't be like everyone. Don't be like everyone. But the world don't have no one like you. So don't be like everyone. Don't be like everyone. No, don't be like everyone. Just be you. Just be you. Just be you. Just be you. Just be